Welcome to Behind the Brand. This series is for you if you're interested in taking a deeper look at the appliance brands you're considering, and if you want to learn more about the most popular brands in kitchen appliances in general. So we asked industry leaders about their latest advancements and what's next for your kitchens. You also find out about the current supply chain problems and a realistic timetable for ordering appliances. But what's really fascinating is the origin story behind some of these brands. They're remarkable tales about entrepreneurs who built grills from sheet metal shops or created cooking products when people were used to cooking over an open flame. So what you're about to watch will show you how to make educated appliance buying decisions, and as a bonus, a glimpse of the technological advancements that are on the horizon, as well as how to plan ahead before your next project. LG is one of the most recognized brands around the world. They are a true multinational conglomerate. In today's episode, we speak with Vice President of Sales for LG, Randy Warner. Randy started working for LG after stints at Samsung, Sub-Zero, Electrolux, and Maytag. LG has been a true leader in the innovation of smart appliances and new technologies in recent years, so there's a lot to cover. Let's jump in. We're talking to Randy Warner, head of sales for LG and SKS. Thank you for joining us, Randy.
Thank you, Steve, for having me. This is great.
You know, I was looking over your LinkedIn profile and I had a smile. You're an ex-Maytag guy. You were there for 15 years. And what made me smile, it seems like the whole industry is run by ex-Maytag people. And it is, you know, for people that don't know, ex-Maytag people run the company. They even run the company that acquired them. But what was the most valuable lesson you learned at Maytag?
I think for me, that was coming right out of college, Steve. So I was very impressionable. But one thing I heard and had learned through that process was they had by far the best training program of any manufacturer in the appliance business, but also up against companies like Xerox at the time that had really formal training programs. And so I knew going in, no matter what I did, if I stayed in this or I went and did something else, the training that I received through that would be fantastic. And so as my career progressed through Maytag, what you learn in that is, the real basics of retail. And I say that, and we knew how to, train on a product. They videotaped us. We tore product down and built it back up. As salespeople, that's pretty good if you can do that. We would never want to sell those to a consumer, but we knew inside that we could take anything apart and put it back together. So when we trained, we could talk and educate. So really about the basics of retail. And those were like making sure floors were perfect, making sure that we worked retail and spent Saturdays on showroom floors and trained. Those were the three basic things. And at that time, we didn't have phones. There was no such thing as a cell phone. So we were answering pagers by, making calls from dealers' phones to other dealers. So it was a unique time for sure, knowing what I know today, how we communicate versus what that was. That was a very challenging opportunity back then.
You know, it's really interesting, but the guy who taught me the most in the business early in my career was an ex-Maytag guy, Doug West. He was our rep, but you guys were professional before, certainly in an industry that's really decidedly not professional in a lot of ways.
Sure.
But in your next big stint, you went from washers and dryers, you went to Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
What was your biggest challenge going from selling $5.99 washers to $8,000 refrigerators and built-in cooking and that sort of thing?
There's a unique part of the luxury segment for sure. And I think for me, thinking back on it, it's still a transactional sale that occurs in a showroom. That all is still the same. The one element that I found to be different is how much influence the trade organizations have in that process. And so whether it's a designer or custom home builder or an architect who's working with that customer, there's a lot of influence that they bring to the table with their clients. And so, it may be as easy as their clients are walking into your showroom and saying, "Hey, my designer said I need this particular product," and that's what gets sold. And for the really good sales associates, those are easy write-ups. Sure, I've got this. Absolutely, I'll sell you that. So that's what I think I found the
Mhm.
biggest difference between what I would call the core part of the business, the appliance business, and the luxury segment is the amount of influence that the design community has in that process.
It's funny you should say that. There's no architects specifying front load washers. There's none.
No,
But you happen to be that's spot on. There is the more sophisticated appliance, the more sophisticated people seem to get for help.
correct.
But then you were left to run Decor,
Yeah.
which which is another, albeit much smaller, family-owned American company. What drew you to Decor from Sub-Zero?
Well, there's I looked at Decor as one of those few opportunities. As my role at Sub Zero at the time was the president of the distribution side. So I ran the West, which was the
Mhm.
Southern California, and then the Southwest, which was their Arizona distribution. And I had this opportunity at Decor to run the company, and which that's a unique uh, thing to do. And I don't get many opportunities come along in your career where here you hold the keys to all of it. And so, and it, as a brand for Decor, it had good heritage. It was a 75-year-old old brand, but didn't have a lot of life in it. And so, my job was really to, from my background of what I knew and what I had learned, is to put those into implementation at Decor, and we had the funding now to do that. And so that was the exciting part, is they were relaunching that brand, and it's like a startup, and we called it a 75-year-old startup, because that's exactly what it was. So,
Funny.
but a lot of fun in the process, a lot of work to get it moving and get the revenue generated out of it correctly, but a lot of learnings in that for me specifically. So it was really helpful in my career.
Yeah, Decor is a very interesting company for me. They had a lot of first that they never capitalized on. They had the
Yeah,
first convection oven, first
yeah,
30-inch under counter oven,
yeah. You
that
were,
first 30-inch double oven. They had the
yeah,
gas and dual fuel with a gas broiler,
yeah.
and they just were never able to capitalize
Steve,
on
do you remember the 30-inch dishwasher?
that. One of my friends bought one in Texas. We never really sold them because I never believe in proprietary products, because what happens when that 30-inch dishwasher,
Oh,
when it's discontinued or broken,
yeah, yeah.
what do you do then? It's
You're
just like,
replacing cabinets.
exactly, that's what you do, is you replace cabinets. But then you went from, kind of startup family company, in your own
Yeah,
words,
yeah,
to Samsung buying it out.
yeah,
That must have been some serious culture shock. What were
yeah.
the adjustments you needed to make for that?
Yeah, it was, I came on to Decor post acquisition of Samsung. So I started there in 2018, and Samsung had acquired the company in 2016,
Mm,
Steve. But so I reported as a separate business unit of Decor into the headquarters over in Korea. And so we were running it as a subsidiary of Samsung. And then in like 2020 is we made that decision to integrate Decor into the Samsung North America umbrella and make it a part of Samsung's global appliance offering. And so, the culture shock for me, or not really shock, but adjustment for sure, is you know working in a very privately held company like Sub Zero was or is still,
mhm.
to a corporate culture again, with a lot of different layers of management and reporting structure, etc. That was probably the biggest adjustment for me, and not that I hadn't done it before with Maytag. I had,
Mhm.
but it was just all right. I had spent 10, 12 years with Sub Zero, and you know how lean of an organization they are in that regard. And
Sure.
so that was probably the biggest adjustment, I would say. They're, you know, Korean company, whether it's LG or Samsung, very driven, and just exceptional leadership through both of the organizations. So you learn something in every one of those. And I felt like while it was decor was a part of Samsung at the time, I felt like I worked for two different companies as we went through that reorg. So it was
Yeah,
good for me.
it's really interesting when you talk about subsidiaries. I think Gen Air, they
Yeah.
claim it's an independent subsidiary of Whirlpool, and then
Yeah.
Decor's, and that doesn't last too long.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, you can have your fun for a couple of years until we decide that you need to
Yeah.
follow the rules like everybody else.
100%.
I don't mean the rules, but the
Yeah. Yeah.
methodologies and
Yes. Yeah.
of the other companies. But
Yep.
so now you're at LG. You're one of the only
Yeah.
guys that have walked on both sides of really the most aggressive companies
Yeah.
in the business. Um, how would you compare LG to Samsung?
Um, I think organizationally they are set up different. Um, what attracted me to the LG side was honestly the senior leadership. Um, for me coming over, I was to run the builder business for LG as well as the signature kitchen suite luxury
Mhm.
category, and those were two fairly new and startup parts of LG's business. Um, but the unique aspect that I saw from their leadership was I didn't have to educate them on what luxury was, and I didn't have to educate them on what the builder business was. They had
Mhm.
done plenty of research on that way in advance of me showing up. So, unlike maybe I would say at Samsung, where I felt like I was always selling internally what this category was and what it meant for them and how we were going to how we were going to grow our revenue through the luxury segment. So I didn't go through that process coming into LG. They really had done their homework and understood the category fairly well.
Yeah, I would say of the two brands, I mean, I would say that LG is more appliance focused, and Samsung is just another one of their kind of
Yeah,
things that they do.
yeah, 100%, Stephen. The unique part for LG is the home appliance uh, group is the bulk of the LG business. It generates the revenue um, of the LG overall portfolio. Home appliance leads the way, and
Huh.
it's a for them to get where they want to be in the appliance business, and there's no mistake about that. They want to be number one.
Hmm.
We want to be number one in the appliance business. They have to figure out other aspects besides retail. They're excellent at selling product at retail. They have to figure out the builder business. They have to figure out the luxury segment. And so adding those two components into the retail part of this will expand that and hopefully be able to get us to that number one role.
Yeah, by builder you mean the towers and the
Correct.
multi. Yeah, okay.
Correct. True
Not
builder
the
business. True builder business.
not
Yes.
custom.
No, not so
Custom would
much
be on
custom.
the SKS side.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
I've asked this question to everybody that's been on this, and it doesn't apply to you. So I'm going to ask it in a totally different way.
All right.
See, LG is different from every other company insofar as how, you don't have the same supply chain issues. I mean, you
Mm,
do to some degree. I would
sure.
say that your fulfillment has been decent, which
Yeah.
is in this day and age spectacular. I mean,
Yeah.
your fulfillment when compared to anybody else's is spectacular. So I only have really one question for you in that regard: is how?
Yeah.
How have you been able to do it where everybody else, with some exception,
Yep.
hasn't, has
Yeah.
not?
Well, I think there's a couple things to that. We're fairly vertically integrated, and I mean that in that we build a lot of our own components that go into the product. We make our own compressors. We don't rely on a lot of other people. Now, wiring harnesses, absolutely, we buy those from a parts manufacturer. But what we don't do is rely on one single source supplier through that,
Hmm.
because if something happens with that supplier, whether it's foaming or wiring harnesses or chips or whatever it is, you see what can happen from that. And so we've avoided that by having multiple part sources through this to help us prevent big outages. And listen, we're not perfect in this, but we're better than most, is what I would say. And the one thing for us is we saw this as a massive opportunity for us to grow share in the industry. And so, the executives made decisions that, okay, for us to gain share, we're going to make more investments in this business. We're going to over invest in it. And that's through increased production, increased costs in transportation to get product over here. We did all of that. And so we, when it costs $25,000 for a container and you can put 24 refrigerators on that container, we didn't pass that cost on to the customer. We took that cost. And so we took that cost knowing that we're going to gain share through this process and keep supplying the industry with product. So think of a brand like Signature Kitchen Suite that's really an up and coming luxury brand. We gained a lot of share, probably pulled 2 to 3, 4 years ahead, Steve, just because we were able to supply product to customers and to designers that needed something quicker than a year out, right? So we're doing the best we can with the supply chain. There's challenges for us too, but our challenges are more 7 to 8 weeks than they are 7 to 8 months.
Yeah, it's funny because we're going to get to SKS in a little bit towards the end, but we always ask the question is, unlike this is a pandemic, post-pandemic question is, do you need it? Give us your idea of, before we show you anything, give us an idea of your lead time.
Yeah.
Is it before 8 months or after 8 months?
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, for panelized dishwashers, you're the only game in town right now.
Yeah, I know it is. And, it's funny. I read your blog today on, accessible inventory and brands and things like that. And, it's dead on. Don't make a mistake that you think you're going to get this in 3 weeks. It's 8 months, 12 months, whatever it might be. So I think there's just a lot more planning that goes into it for sure, as you know.
Yeah. The other part is for people watching this, for people buying appliances now, we get ETAs.
Yeah.
And by and large, most companies will change their ETAs. It's kind of like flying. Buying appliances is kind of like flying. I was flying yesterday. Everything was on time until I got to the airport, and then it's like an hour, 2-hour delay. It's like, it's supposed to be in this week and they changed the ETA. There's been some companies that have changed ETAs from 5 months to a year and 5 months.
Yeah, that's right. You're right, Steve.
So it's buying appliances now is very tricky. You have to almost really consider buying in stock stuff or waiting a year to 2 years to really start your project. That said, and we didn't talk about, you guys automated your factories as well.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Yeah, we did. And I didn't mention that, but just so happens that we had some new manufacturing facilities coming online at the same time that the pandemic sort of hit. So we benefited from an increase in production off of that as well. And, and in that new factory, there's a lot of automation in there. There's a lot of robots that are building things, and the robots didn't get COVID. So,
and robots don't need to socially distance.
No, they don't. No, they do not.
You're laughing, but can you imagine being president of LG and then having your factory shut down, and then OSHA saying, "Oh, it's now 6 feet apart," and you're like, "Well, the machines are 3 feet apart."
That's right.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
I feel bad for those.
Yeah,
you don't have to deal with that. So, this is probably a general question I should have asked in the beginning, but as head of this brand, could you tell people maybe why they should consider LG? I mean, certainly supply would be a good one, but anything else come to mind?
Yeah, for the Signature Kitchen Suite brand, I'm sure you were not begging for another luxury brand to come to the marketplace. You did not need another luxury brand. So
an available luxury brand.
Yeah. So when we came up with the brand, we knew we had to create things inside of it that were unique to the industry, that maybe others didn't have. And so through that process, and also really target a different and new consumer set that was coming into play here, whether it's the Gen X group and or the millennial generation that's coming through with some buying power now. So our product and our focus around building this product was not as much on the baby boomer side, but that next level underneath there that has a little bit more tech focus to it, and has grown up with, whether it was LG TVs or LG phones or whatever that might be. They're very in tune to the technology side. So but they also enjoy cooking. And so we landed with a customer set that we call Technocurian. So somebody that really enjoys cooking at home, as well as there's some cool and unique features that we offer up, like sous vide. Nobody else does sous vide, and the reason we chose sous vide is because it is a great way of cooking, great method of cooking, but nobody has ever done it in a residential setting where it's part of your appliance. You have to buy a third piece of appliance or a small appliance to make that happen. And uh, we make a range top that has sous vide in that,
Mm-hmm.
which is unique. We also put induction in top on our range top. So we made a lot of unique things. And this next year, we're going to bring out the industry's first 48-inch French door built-in refrigerator. And that'll be another hero piece for us that is unique. Others will have a 48-inch French door. We know that. But what's very cool about our product is it is a integrated model.
Mm-hmm.
That design is spectacular on it because the break at the refrigerator door to the freezer drawers below is right at the belt line of the countertop. So you can do a lot of unique things around the design. You could panel the bottom of it, make the top of it stainless. You could do two different colors of panels to it. Or you can do it all stainless. You can make it proud, integrated into your cabinetry, however you want to do it. So we put a lot of design flexibility into this. And then just thinking about the bottom four drawers are two 24-inch drawer setups, just like cabinet drawers would be. So as you looked across a line of cabinets on the lowers, you would see 24-inch breaks across that, which is perfect for the design community.
Yeah, it's also good because one of the questions I was going to say, if you have a big 48-inch bottom drawer,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you load that thing up.
yeah.
I mean, that's like that's a
Yes,
good gym curl, a
yes,
reverse
it
gym
is.
curl, a
Yes, yes,
tricep
it
curl.
is. Yes, it
You know,
is.
it's interesting that you mentioned sous vide. I mean,
Yeah,
that's for people that don't know, that's precision boiling in a bag. I
yeah.
mean, I've often wondered how you vacuum seal that bag, but I'm sure there's probably tabletop appliances that can
There
help you
are.
with that.
Yeah, for sure.
But how would you say, okay, sous vide, how did you research to get that's going to be one of our options? Now, again, for people that don't know this range, you've also leveraged it with induction, which
Yeah,
probably is the
yeah.
way the whole segment's going to go
Correct,
eventually, especially with
correct.
these gas bands going. And you have 23,000 BTU burners.
Yes,
And
yeah,
that's right
yeah,
now, that's the biggest, one of the biggest sealed. And then you put sous vide on the side. I
yeah.
mean, what from your research?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wasn't here for the beginning of the launch of the brand where they did a lot of that, but there's a lot. We had a lot of industry veterans that were a part of this when it launched, as well as some of the best engineers in the appliance business that did the research on this. And again, thinking about ways that we could develop a new luxury product, and sous vide was just one of those that was for somebody who's very in tune with food and cooking, as it enjoys making meals for their family or friends. Sous vide felt like it was the right spot for us. And I'll give you just one other little analogy on this. I recently put the 36-inch dual fuel range into my home as I went through a 8-month remodel of my kitchen. um,
But you didn't
so
cause the 8 months. It was the other
yeah,
things,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Let's
No,
make
no,
that
no.
clear,
I
right?
had
Yeah.
the appliances well in advance, Steve. I was waiting on cabinets and floor and the rest of it. So, the one thing that is really a cool aspect for me is I live at high elevation. So I live at 5,000 feet elevation, and we have LP where I'm at. So you have to convert natural gas to LP. You typically lose some power in that. When you're at higher elevation with gas, you're going to lose a little bit of power in that. But because of the range that we make a induction burner.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought the range that has two burners that are induction, two that are gas, and sous vide. That's perfect for my scenario because I lose nothing on
No,
power in high
on the
elevation
induction.
and or LP with this induction. And that's the beauty, as you know, of induction. Induction to me is phenomenal. I can remember selling induction cooktops with Gen Air 20 some years ago, and everybody was worried about the pans. Well, you don't have to worry about the pans anymore. Every pan you can find, even things at Target, are totally good on induction today.
Yeah, it's
But we found some unique pieces in that, and I can tell you, I'm a not a good cook. I like to cook on the grill. My wife is a terrible cook, and she is self-admitted. So I'm not talking bad about my wife on this, Steve, but she is a
We'll
self-admitted
see. We'll see when she sees it on YouTube.
bad cook when she watches this. Whether
Yeah,
I
on
have
YouTube, it'll be.
yeah, in the
You'll
guest
find out
room
then.
or something. But we're using sous vide now. I'll never cook another piece of protein on a grill again. I mean, sous vide to me, the product comes out perfectly out of sous vide, and then I do a quick flash with it on the grill to sear it and get the seal in the juices and make it appearance wise a little better.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, even on the videos, they talk about sous vide. You got to finish it on a
You
grill
do, for sure.
or in a frying pan or
Yeah, yep,
poach,
yep.
whatever it might be. But yeah,
Correct.
it's supposed to be perfection in terms of overall temperature and
Right.
and consistency and not overcooking. Yeah, it's good. It's a, it's a,
100%.
it's certainly an interesting option. The other thing that you guys have got going for you is smart functionality.
Yeah.
For those people that know, there's like a bunch of different kinds of smart. There's ThinQ, which is your app. I would say Higher and G's
Yep.
Smart HQ would be good.
Yep.
There's a lot of things out there that just don't have connectivity. But you guys do all the basics,
Sure.
Alexa, turn on my range, Alexa,
Yep.
turn off my range. But when are we going to make the jump to Alexa, cook my lasagna the way I want it, with however
Yeah.
that may be, with Alexa sending it out for the ingredients, they coming in, you putting it in and it cooking at, say, 375 for 22 and a half minutes or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
When are we going to get to that point where smart becomes, Jetson smart, if you will?
I'm not sure I don't know the answer to your question, Steve, on when, but there's so much technology now that is just pouring into this category. And, we have the app today where you can scan the barcode on whatever you're putting in and it gives you everything you need, set your temperature correctly, all those things just based off of that barcode scan that you have on the product. So we're not quite there where you could, I think, personalize it to what you truly want it. You can make those adjustments once you get it put in, but maybe not to the personal side yet. Now, having said that, I think the next wave for us at LG, one of the things that we're introducing now is ThinQ Care. And ThinQ Care is more about service and the service side of the business, that we can monitor the customer's product for them. So we would let them know in advance if there are issues or upcoming issues. And just, I can tell you, and I'm sure with you today, I get a monthly email from my car company that says the health of my car is X. I have this much oil left in it. I have my tires are inflated to this pressure, and I'm going to need to take it in for a service checkup here in 2,000 miles. I get that on a monthly basis. This is something that we're adding into the LG ThinQ Care, or the ThinQ app, is the care side of it now, which we may be able to tell in advance of a refrigerator getting warm, and we could notify you as our service partner in advance. We think the refrigerator at this address is getting warm. Would you like to reach out and contact them and potentially set it up? Here are the parts we think you need for that call. And that, the beauty of customer service, as is that first call complete. If I can get out to a customer's home, solve that issue for them one time, it sure makes their life easier. And they don't, especially when they don't know there's potentially even a problem, that's even better for them. So that's really, I think, for us, what we're leveraging right now is the ThinQ Care and the service side of it.
Yeah. Well, for people to know, we service what we sell, and we did somewhere around 45,000 service calls last year.
Yeah.
And here's how it's done now throughout the industry, which is why it's not done very well in the industry. Is right now, let's just say I'm talking to the customers, like, you have a problem with your fridge. So you have to describe that problem to us. Now, what we've done to mitigate that is, we take all the calls and we've got scripts for that.
Yep.
What we do is we send that to a technician that says, sounds like this, right?
Right.
So if you describe the problem, if you describe the problem right to our person, and our person describes the problem right to the person who's
Yeah.
actually diagnosing it,
Yeah.
and we're, in terms of the industry, we're pretty successful. But if those interactions are good, you're gonna no problem. But if there's a weak link in any of those interactions, the appliance doesn't get fixed. So for
That's right.
the appliance to say, hey, I think I'm broken or it might be breaking, here are the parts that we're going to send to you. It changes the game for service.
100%.
It changes the game. And especially since service is so critical in an industry that doesn't really value it very
Right.
much.
Right.
I think that's a better, people want the lasagna the way they want it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and one of the reasons, Janier said in 2018 that they were going to get there. And here we are 4 years later.
Yeah.
And Lynx had the Migro with
Yeah.
sensors that was supposed
Yeah.
to, that was discontinued.
Yeah.
I think that people focused on trying to get product out the door rather than trying to, redevelop product to some extent. But
Yeah.
that whole smart thing is better than the other thing that you described. If you can change the game in service and have the part and diagnose it properly,
Yeah.
you're changing the way people should buy appliances. Really.
Yeah. And I better than anybody, Steve, that in the luxury segment, how valuable that can be for somebody who's spending that kind of money on product. And so for us to be able to manage that for them, and this is stuff that we're not charging customers for any of this service. This is just part of the package that you get. And so in that, we think we'll be able to elevate our service level to what a customer would expect from buying a luxury product or spending that kind of money. But it doesn't even have to be luxury. It can be our core product in LG too. We're delivering the same storyline through the LG core product. So
yeah, well, you're going to save 30 to 50%. We're the best, supposedly one of the tops in the industry at 71%
Yeah.
first call completes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like outstanding.
Yeah.
Average, I think, is what, 40 to 45.
That's
So
exactly.
think about all the resources. I mean, it's
Correct.
crazy.
Correct.
So one final question, seeing that we're on smart and what smart will and will not do in the future. 3 to 5 years, what do you think is going to change in the industry?
Ooh. I speak a little bit, just having spent some time through the luxury side here. I think there's a lot more want to hide appliances and make it a little bit more modular through a kitchen. And, if I want refrigeration that's just upper, or I want refrigerator that's just lower compartment, and I don't have to have this big bulky thing into my cabinets, I feel like that is going to continue. It's already there. It's not new. It's not anything unique as we speak. But I think that could migrate to more customization of even the cooking side of it. Today, the cooking side's pretty loud and proud in what it is, and many people like that style. But I think there's a growing part of the business, as you know, with contemporary and minimalistic kitchens, etc. And through that side of it, I can see where could you ever panel ready a wall oven to make it match with your cabinetry? Or could you ever, I know there's some UL things around actually hiding. You can't do that, but you could panel ready some things and make, I know there's a lot of color, etc. But color comes and goes. And so styles change each year. And so I think customers are looking for more timeless solutions through some of that when you spend that kind of money. So I'd use that as more panelization of product potentially into the cooking side. And then, for us, I see a lot of new product introduction stuff that LG is doing, and the improvements that they're making in dishwashers and the cycle times of dishwashers and how dishwashers dry, because that's as you know, I think an industry challenge with all the energy requirements. So we're doing some really unique things that we'll launch even this year that will have 1 hour wash and dry cycles that are perfect. And so there's still a lot of technology left. I'll leave it at this. I saw a new product that we'll have out by the end of this year that's going to be spectacular in the LG Studio line. That customization, you can change it every single day if you wanted to. You can have it one color, 10 colors, 3 colors, whatever you want. You could do it, and you do it from your phone. And it could blend in with your cabinetry. You could do it from an app. It's awesome. It's going to be spectacular. So,
wow, that is awesome. By the way, I mean, we talk about where do you see it, and the single most reliable, according to our surveys last year, based on cost, we rank everything.
Yeah.
Because for us, it's like the difference between a huge loss or not. The single most reliable product we sold last year was an LG dishwasher.
Yeah.
Needed service less than 2% of the time. That's
Yeah.
outstanding. And I agree with you. I think that people want people want solutions to an all stainless kitchen.
Sure.
And stainless is good. I have stainless in my kitchen.
Yep.
But they want legitimate kind of like, and it's not all pink, it's not all yellow.
Right.
It's like maybe a pop of color or some modularization. I think cooking still needs to be centralized on the stovetop to some degree, but I agree with you. I think that's kind of where the industry is, a little less formal, a little less bulky, a little more design aesthetic, kind of like the way the Europeans do it. So I agree with you.
I agree, Steve.
Anyway, hey, listen, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think you guys have done a great job, and look forward to doing some more with you.
I do as well. You're a great customer of ours, and I've showed your business off to many of our executives, and they love Yale. And they love what you guys do. Not just from the retail side, but the back end of your business, and that's what I'm as impressed with as anything is the service, the installation, the customer service, the dedication you have to all that delivery, install, etc. So that to us is just as important as the front side and the education you put your team through and the customers through. So congratulations.
Well, and to you too. Thanks again for talking with us. I know how busy you guys are.
You're welcome, Steve. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks. Now that we've seen a glimpse of the future with LG and appliances, let's stop over at one of the showrooms to see these products in action. We spoke to one of our salespeople to give us a tour with a more in-depth explanation of the appliances mentioned during our interview.
Here we're standing in our SKS kitchen in the Yale Appliance Hanover showroom. I'm standing in front of the SKS 48-inch range here. SKS is the premium line of the LG family. They do a lot of different professional products, and really one of the most unique appliances that's on the market today is this 48-inch range from SKS. Really some of the unique things that you see here are really primarily on the top here. So this range, the configuration comes with 4 burners. Also what it comes with is a 2-burner induction zone, as well as a sous vide zone here. Sous vide is really one of the best ways to cook and to get the most accurate temperature when cooking things like steaks and looking to get it medium rare, things like that. Allows you to cook in the sous vide here, and then you can finish either on the top or in the oven. SKS, again, really has built a lot of really nice higher end touches into their professional products. A really nice touchscreen control panel here that really lets you cook in a lot of different ways. So here, when we're using it, we can select the oven. We can select exactly what you're cooking in their gourmet chef menu here. If, say, we want to do a prime rib or something like that, we'll select beef. We'll select a roast beef. If we want it rare, however you want to cook that, say we want to go to medium rare. And this will tell you the exact temperature to cook it at, where to put the temperature probe, and where to put the rack in the oven. In addition, SKS also has more standard ranges as far as configuration. So if you didn't want the sous vide and you didn't want the induction, they do offer a 48-inch with 6 burners and a griddle as well. In addition, they do offer a 36-inch professional range. SKS really offers a full array of products for everything that you need in your kitchen. Everything from double ovens like you see here, to combination ovens with a speed oven up top and a single oven underneath, dishwashers, built-in refrigeration, freestanding products like 30-inch front control ranges, counter depth freestanding refrigerators. So if you haven't checked out SKS, I would absolutely encourage you to do so. Great product, great warranty, 3 years full parts and labor out of the box. Really a brand that we really enjoy here at Yale.
Well, that brings us to the end of season 2 of Behind the Brand. Thank you to everyone who spoke with us this season, and thank you for those of you who turned in. And as always, if you like what you learned, don't forget to like or subscribe for more information about appliances, home renovation tips, and trends. See you next week.